Hello and welcome to the latest in a series of interviews highlighting the strategic value of public relations to business. I'm Koray Kamgoz from the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, and I'm very pleased to be joined by Professor Andrew Burke, who's the Dean of the Business School here at Trinity College in Dublin. Andrew, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The role of business has changed quite extensively over the last few years. Businesses are increasingly expected to speak up on societal issues that matter to their consumers. What do you think the role of public relations is in helping companies to develop and communicate their purpose to the wider world?
Well, I think that the first thing is that the communication message has to be authentic. And you know that's why I keep going back to this idea that you need a vision and a strategy and a set of values that genuinely reflect what the organization is doing, and if people buy into that, that's key. And indeed, some of our faculty here have done research on organizations where they have tried to put out messaging that isn't authentic. So putting on a sort of maybe sort of a bit the lipstick on a pig, but but putting on a facade that they have a social conscience when in fact it's clear that they don't, and so on. And the research actually shows quite clearly that you'd be better off not even trying to go communicate that sort of message in the first place. So I think the key in terms of effective is that the messaging needs to be authentic.
You'll have relationships with business leaders from across the world. What are businesses telling you that they need from the leaders of tomorrow?
What industry are telling us is that the skill set they need, both in terms of profile and in terms of what they need developing, has changed. So in the past it would have been very much, let the brightest students, in terms of measured by IQ only, onto your programs and skill them up with lots of analytical skills. And those are the type of graduates we want, to a situation where they say now we want a much more broad-based individual. We want somebody who's got emotional intelligence. We want somebody who's got some natural leadership skills that can be nurtured. We actually want somebody who's got a set of values, who's got a conscience. And also we want the analytical skills.
As the role of business has changed, so too has the role of public relations and communications. Does PR and communications sit anywhere within the business courses?
I think PR is very much like the way e-commerce was probably about 20 years ago. So when e-commerce happened first, people started creating e-commerce courses. And then after a while, as the internet and apps and the rest developed, and Wi-Fi and so on, people realised, well, look, e-commerce is not a standalone area. It's everywhere, and so gradually every course had an e-commerce. And I think PR and communications, especially now, is more important than it's ever been.
How do you see the role of ethics in business in 5 to 10 years' time?
From a needs point of view, I think it needs to be much more active than it currently is. In terms of ethics in business, it's gone along on the following trend. Initially, the ethical role in terms of business leaders, they used to view it as the responsibility of regulators. So if businesses weren't meant to do something, then either competition or whatever should come into play and make them behave better. Then the next stage is, with both the environmental crisis and then the financial crisis, people realising, well, businesses actually need to be on the case naturally, and hence there's been this education in terms of, we talk about, students with a moral compass. But the reality is that business is not reacting fast enough. So, because in a sense, what you might hope with that is that if we've all these business leaders with strong values and a moral compass, then they can self-regulate, but that isn't happening. So if we can create leaders in organizations who can start to educate and shape the values of consumers, then that will not only help those businesses to do the right thing, but it will cause other businesses who simply don't care about those values, but simply want to make a buck, to comply with them.
And if we're talking about educating the public on issues that matter to society, would you agree that PR and communications should be at the forefront of those conversations?
Communications has become the most important marketing tool. So consumer advocates or, good testimonials are worth much more than many billboard advertising and so on.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us.